So welcome everyone to our first meeting in February. Thank you very much for being here today. I'm going to mute everybody right this second, but you can type in the chat if you have questions. But thank you for being in our first meeting for February. Where I want to start out today with you logged into netacad.com is just recently I finished up the training I needed to be able to offer a class called CCNA Cyber Ops. And we're going to talk about this course. I actually enrolled all of you into this course, all the students who were in the Cybersecurity Essentials class. I put them in this course. You're going to be some of the first students on the East Coast to be able to access this material. In fact, I've got about 71 or 72 instructors signed up to take instructor training from me starting in 2 weeks. So you're actually getting to see this material before a lot of instructors are seeing it, which is neat. What I wanted to do, though, is, and folks, I'm going to I'll unmute you again, and then Brad and Sarah, if you want to, you can mute yourself. But I want to just do a quick search, and I'm going to do on Indeed.com. I'm going to do cybersecurity, and I'm going to look at Virginia Beach, Virginia. All right, just a real quick search here. You will see that quick search finds 211 jobs in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, ranging from a senior security engineer all the way to a specialist to an analyst. And if you look at some of these and start looking at some of the different pay grades and items available, some of them are pretty detailed, but also there's many different companies that are in that local area, in your area right now, looking for cybersecurity analysts. Here's Atlantic Systems Group, and you're looking at 80 to 90,000 a year. Now, will you make that out of high school with a cybersecurity degree? Probably not, or cybersecurity information? No, you're not, because you're looking at needing some pretty high-level certifications. But the entry-level jobs are there also in cybersecurity. This Booz Allen, I know they are always looking for people and local people. And look at this, 1+ years of experience. So here's a lower level. Okay, some a little bit. This is DoD. Got some other things on it. Actually, it's got DoD items on it, Navy qualified level. But Booz Allen is looking all the time in that area for different people. So the reason I want you aware of this is because I want you aware that there are jobs in cybersecurity in your local area. If we expand this in other parts of Virginia, so let's say we go up towards, let's try Reston, Virginia, which is where you're looking. Now you're looking at 7,897 jobs in the Reston, Virginia area. So moving up towards Washington, D.C., up in that area, and towards where the CIA and all is located. There's a lot of jobs in cybersecurity, and you're looking at IT security specialist salaries. This is the average that they're making in that area per year. Now, again, I always tell people, these averages are a little bit misleading. If you look at my certifications, I should be making over $100,000 a year. I don't make over $100,000 a year. I also work for the state, so ask me why I'm doing that, but I do enjoy what I do. But you will see that the jobs are out there in cybersecurity, and many of them require you to understand how to work and how to participate in a security operations center. To this point, I have not seen, and I've been in IT for a long time. I'm CCNA certified, CCNP, CCNA Security, but to my knowledge, I have not seen a class like this class created. This class is a very multidisciplinary class. It is exactly what you are training to do in our contest. You are training to be a security analyst, to be able to look and find information about attacks taking place on a network. So that is why I put you in this course, and it's why I think that I want you to go through as much of it as we can before we get to the contest itself. Now, I do want to tell you something. One of the things I like about this too, under modules, and by the way, the modules area is where I put all the different chapter information where you upload activities. So you can actually go in and create and do the labs and then upload the activities. But one of the things in this course that's really interesting and important is this ethical hacking statement. And this is something you've probably already done for your class and for Teresa and for Ms. Darty. in this contest, and that is this particular class you're going to learn in a sandboxed environment. Now, Misha, Brad, and Sarah, this sandboxed environment, you can actually download VirtualBox, and I'll create a video to show you how to do this. And so you'll be able to download VirtualBox. Students, you will be able to download VirtualBox at home. It's a free open source program. You'll be able to download it, install it. Then you're going to be able to download the actual VMs that you can use to do the multiple labs in this class. The VMs, so you don't have to have NetLabs to even do this. You download it locally. Some of them are fairly big. They're about 2 gigs in size. But they're items like there's a Linux box that you use. There's a Security Onion box, which is kind of like a Kali Linux box, but that's a security analyst box. There's a let's see, what's the other one? I think there's one more I'm trying to remember. But there's three boxes you'll eventually download. For the first 10 chapters, though, you only need one particular machine downloaded. But you're going to do it in a sandbox. You're going to learn things that can get you in a lot of trouble. So make sure that when you are doing any of the things that I've taught you or you've learned in the ethical hacking labs, anything you've learned in this class, that you realize it's not legal to run most of these tools on computers if you don't have permission to do it. So don't go running these tools, downloading it on your machine at home and running it, trying to run across the entire neighborhood network. It's not legal. So be aware of that. But inside the sandbox that you're going to create for this class, there's absolutely no reason at all you can't. Now, I'm going to launch Chapter 1 because I want to talk about Chapter 1 to you today. And what I want you to know is that you're going to learn how to work and how to exist in a security operations center. Recently, when was it? Back in December, I was at a large vendor in California, Palo Alto Networks, and they showed us their security operations center. They have security analysts in that security operations center 24/7 monitoring the internet, monitoring threats, and then using that to make their customers and their internal teams aware of what's going on the internet and what's going on overall. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about some jobs and items inside of a cybersecurity career. Now, this is a great TED Talk. You can go just click on it and watch it yourself, and the TED Talk will open up, and I'm not going to just go through it, but it will actually take you out to a TED Talk, and then you can see how he performs hacks, okay? You can also put a block on here if you don't want to watch ads, but I didn't do that. Now, they also talk about a couple different ways people get hijacked. Here's a story of a lady going to a coffee shop, and there's a hacker with a rogue wireless hotspot. Pretty easy to do if you've ever seen hack.net or hack9, I think that's it. Very easy to do and set up, also very legal, but it's something that can easily happen to you if you're using the open wireless network. Ransom companies. We had a school system here locally, in fact, not just a school system. You may have heard of the city of Charlotte. The city of Charlotte had some of its servers hit with a ransomware attack. In other words, they opened a PDF or an email attachment, and then that infected the server and encrypted with the ransomware. So be aware that those are huge problems. They actually, I believe, paid the ransom instead of waiting to try to restore from a backup. Other items such as targeting nations. Looking at Stuxnet. We talked about it before in the past, so you probably heard of Stuxnet before. Stuxnet is a malware that was developed to destroy the centrifuges in Iran so that their nuclear program would be set back. This is the lab where it actually walks you through loading VirtualBox and loading the virtual machine. I'm going to do this lab in a YouTube video and then send it to you. So right now we're not going to do it, but be aware I will actually show you how to do this. And there is a direct download link to download VirtualBox and also to download the OVF or OVA files for this particular image. Now be aware when I start downloading it, it is a Cyber Ops workstation and it is 2 gigs in size. So it will take a while to get that downloaded onto your machine. Now, when we look at different types of hackers, you know this, you've seen this, the idea of script kiddies. Those are just anybody who's very basic knowledge, really has no skills, just going through running some of the exploit kits out there. Now, here's the problem. Used to be script kiddies couldn't do a lot of damage, really. They could rattle the door, so to speak, but not do a lot of damage. With the advent of exploit kits, and exploit kits are a group of exploits, or a kind of like Metasploit. You played with Metasploit a little bit. That's an exploit framework. But there are even kits out there to where you can just say, go attack this IP address, and it will actually go out and attempt to attack that IP address. So even though they may be script kiddies, it is becoming very easy for someone to do damage on a system. We have hacktivists, people who are hacking into sites and defacing those sites to protest against the government, against anything. It'd be, I don't like, meat, so I'm going to hack into Omaha Steaks, or I'm going to hack into some group and post things on it. So these folks can be there to disrupt systems. Did any of you hear about the network for the Olympics going down? The Olympics network went down during the opening ceremonies, and right before the opening ceremonies, it was actually down for about 12 hours due to malware. And so someone hacked into that network, and it was causing people not to be able to print tickets to be able to get into the opening ceremonies. It was causing problems and be able to access the online competition information about start times and venues. So those types of things, no one's claimed responsibility, so we don't really know. The only thing we do know is it was by someone who had a great deal of internal knowledge on the network. That's what I read about. So that could have been a hacktivist. It could have been someone who, for whatever reason, was against the Olympics. This is getting bigger and bigger. Money, just flat money. It's a whole lot easier to steal things over the internet than it is to walk into a bank and risk getting shot. We talked about that. Trade secrets and global politics, trying to outmaneuver nation states, steal their trade secrets so you don't have to develop the newest and greatest glue. You just steal a secret and then you start selling it under your own name. This is really big. The more we put things on the internet, I did a really neat thing yesterday with my new CCNA instructors. I asked them how many devices did they have on their network. Just real quick, all of you in chat, just give me a quick idea of how many different devices are on the internet or the network in your house right now. Or just tell me. Brad and Sarah, you can unmute and tell me, or Amisha. I know, Amisha, you don't have a mic, but just tell me real quick, how many devices, Brad's group, do you have on your network at home?
How many do we have?
About like 6. I don't know if you can hear me.
It's hard for me to hear you, but how many you got?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Oh yeah, I have about like 6.
6? Okay. And that's counting your TV and your Fire Sticks and everything. Okay, 6. Think about that. That's a lot of devices. That really is a lot. Sarah, how about you and your group? What amazed me yesterday is that with my instructors, most of them said they had between 11 and 20 devices on their network at home. So think about that. All the things we've got: phones. So my wife's phone, my phone, connects to Wi-Fi when we get home. Laptops, Xboxes, TVs, Fire Stick. No, I don't have Fire Stick. 2 Chromecasts, both DirecTV boxes. Not just laptops, but regular PCs. So you start thinking about, and then I got to think about the cameras. I've got Blink cameras. So suddenly, these Internet of Things have to be secured because those Blink cameras are given IP addresses. So all of them are connected to the network. So it's amazing the number of devices. And as we get further into automating our homes, automating everything about us, there will just be more of them. Now, two different types of information that is very important. One is PII, personally identifiable information, such as your name, social security, birth date, credit card numbers, bank accounts. The big problem with name, social security, and birth date, those can be used to open accounts in your name. They can be used for stealing your identity. Government ID, address information, it's one of the things you need to be careful of, and there's a lot of discussion about not giving your birth date on Facebook, not giving anything about where you live on Facebook, just to try to keep people from having that information. And then there's PHI, which is protected health information, and that information is set up due to the HIPAA regulations. And in fact, I had to go through a round of signing new HIPAA things and new PHI items just the other day when I went to the doctor. So these are two big things that are two different types of information we need to protect. And you'll see it's estimated that businesses lose $400 billion annually in cyber attacks. $400 billion. So that's why there's 7,000 jobs in Western Virginia in cybersecurity. You can lose a competitive advantage by having your trade secrets stolen. Politics and national security, one of those things where you can accidentally give out information about contacts, and in some circumstances that can result in someone being killed, especially if there's say they're a security resource or a security contact that you've got in another country. Now, let's talk about the modern Security Operations Center. Inside the Security Operations Center, you're going to learn about processes, people, and technology. So there's a series of processes that you use to deal with security incidents. There are people at different levels. There's Tier 1 through Tier 3 analysts, and there's a Security Operations Manager. And then there's technology, which is a SIM system, which is Security Information and Event Management system that's used so that you can go through these processes. This is not just for security. I know there are other operation centers that handle things like bank transactions, those types of things. But we're going to focus on Security Operations Center. Now, these are the people in the Security Operations Center, that Tier 1 analyst, and that's what this class prepares you to be. And it is the only class I've ever seen that actually prepares someone to be a Tier 1 analyst. They monitor alerts. In other words, you're going to have a job at a Security Operations Center watching incoming alerts from whatever system's in use. Could be SQL, could be some type of Palo Alto interface, could be with Panorama or your Wildfire interface. It could be Cisco and connecting to Cisco Firepower. But whatever it is, you're going to be at the front line looking at individual incidences and alerts that come in. It's going to be the Tier 1 analyst, their job is to decide a true event has occurred or has not occurred, okay? If a true event has occurred, and depending upon the process, okay, the Tier 1 analyst is going to have to make a decision. Do you forward it up to Tier 2? Is it something that is, according to our process, relevant enough and requires it to be forwarded to Tier 2? If so, we'll move up to a Tier 2, and they are responsible for the deep investigation and analysis of an event. In other words, once it goes to Tier 2, you've determined it is definitely an event. Someone has either broken into your network or is trying to break into your network, or some type of strange behavior is taking place on the network. Then it goes to the Tier 2 incident responder, and their job is to then bring in all the different people they need. For instance, a Tier 2 incident responder may bring in a Tier 3 subject matter. So let's say the Tier 1 alert analyst sees a malware alert. They see that it is real and it meets the need for the process to move it up. The Tier 2 incident responder will then take that, begin investigation, and if they need help from a Tier 3 SME or subject matter expert who is a malware expert, they may bring in the malware expert. And depending upon all of this, more than likely the SOC manager, the person responsible for the entire SOC, is going to know about this event being moved up to Tier 2 and the Tier 3 being brought in. Now, your goal, obviously, is to start life as a Tier 1 analyst and then move up. That's what all of our goals are, to move up and become Tier 2 and then eventually a SME, so that you, can make that $100,000. And like I said, money, it does make you happy, but it lets you do a whole lot of things. So, plus it's a good career. It's a fun thing. It's not anything going away when there's $400 billion in losses annually due to cybersecurity. Also, I don't really believe that networking and computer technologies are going away. So as we introduce more and more of it, we're going to see more and more problems. Now, all of you are probably too young to watch Altered Carbon on Netflix, but if you have, you know that that's a world where technology has really taken over. And it seems like a fantastical world until you read an article like I read this week, where I read about a prosthetic hand, and they developed a new synthetic skin to go over the prosthetic hand that actually senses heat and also can sense touch. And that information can be fed into the electronics on the prosthetic and then fed into the nerves in the arm that's left, so that you can grab a paper cup and not crush that cup with a prosthetic hand. So you can sense the amount of pressure you're putting on the hand. You know, those types of things, imagine, down the road, to be quite honest, I hope to replace the arm that doesn't work well because of being hit by a truck. That's one of the things I have. I have nerve damage in one of my hands. Well, as soon as I can replace that with cybernetics, I will. But then you have to worry about someone hacking into your arm, which sounds crazy. But right now, they already have pacemakers, and they already have, insulin pumps that can be remotely connected to and changed. So, they've even shown theoretically the ability to break into a wired an insulin pump and make it inject too much insulin into someone. So, security is going to be huge as we continue to move forward. So what are some of the processes? Again, Tier 1 monitors the incidents, and if it is a true incident, opens a ticket to pass it up. They do basic threat mitigation, all right? They move it up to Tier 2. They do deep investigation and advises remediation. And remediation is the steps you're going to take according to the process to deal with the incident, okay? It may be that it's someone opened up malware and it was stopped by the antivirus, and so you just need to do some education as to don't open attachments. Or maybe in remediation, maybe we need to put in some type of filter that will filter out these items before they come through our email system. And then Tier 3, this is really when, and Tier 3 is a neat thing because they get into things such as actually looking for new threats. If you, let's see if I can find them. Unit 42, I believe, is it. Let me actually look over here. Palo Alto is Unit 42. Pull this over. So anytime you're live, you have to be careful on the internet. I think I've shown you this before, but it's a blog. Unit 42 blog, which is Unit 42. These are all Tier 3 guys, okay? So this is a unit at Palo Alto that goes out and looks for exploits that are taking place. Actually talks about, like here's a new, talking about traps, one of their traps stopping an Adobe Flash 0-day vulnerability. It actually talks about what it is, what the vulnerability is. It goes through, you can actually sign up for their email if you want and see, but it goes through and talks about how Quasar remote access kit, remote access tool was being used and how it all began with a tweet. So malware was an interesting theme. So it goes through and gives you very detailed, in-depth analysis. These are folks that are doing level 3 work. Okay, they're even breaking down, finding out where it's coming from, what language is being used, all the different variables, even showing you the code that's in use in the malware. So very neat things in terms of in-depth analysis of new and emerging threats. So again, if you haven't subscribed to Unit 42, and I think I've already told you to do that, I would definitely do that. So that's your Tier 3 people up there actually looking for new threats. Now, what are some of the different technologies in a SOC? We talk about the people. You know, and people are Tier 1 analysts, Tier 2 analysts, Tier 3 analysts, and the security operation manager. The processes were that, you know, who is responsible for what portion of the process. And then in the technologies, you've got things such as security information and event management systems, or SIEM, S-I-E-M systems. You've got log collection facilities, NetFlow collection. You've got everything from Traps, which is a Palo Alto technology. You've got just a multitude of vendors out there. But taking all that information that comes in, security events from Windows, security events from Cisco devices, feeding that into a security information and event management system, and then the Tier 1 analyst will look at those and will flag the items that look like an actual threat. Now, the other thing you can do, obviously, not only do companies have their own security operations centers, there are a large number of companies that actually do security operations for larger companies, or do managed security. Cisco has an entire product security incident response team. They have a computer security response team. They have tactical operations, everything down to physical security programs. So not only do individual companies create their own security operations centers, but some of them actually lease it out or manage it for other companies. This is a neat chart because this gives you, you've heard of the 5 nines of uptime. And by the way, this is, you know, a 5 nines, 99.999% of the time means you can be down for 5 minutes, 5.256 minutes. Now think about that in a year's time. I know this may or may not be totally true, but I had someone who worked at a bank one time, a large bank, tell me, and it kind of made sense to me, but they said that every minute the ATM system was down, they lose about $1 million a minute. So you can see why some people would not even want to have 5 nines of downtime. They would want to have 6 nines or 7 nines. Getting into those types of downtimes per year costs a ton of money because of redundancy. When you've got, you know, 7 nines, you're looking at totally redundant systems across multiple geographic areas, just unbelievable amounts of redundancy. However, again, if you're losing $1 million a second, you definitely don't want to, or excuse me, $1 million a minute, you definitely don't want to be down 52 minutes. So 4 nines is not acceptable. 5 nines, maybe. You know, a large bank, $5 million is pocket change. They can find that in the corners of their banks. But still, think about the amount of money that would be. Even think about this. Think about a small business that sells a large amount of things off of an eBay shop being down for 5 minutes at Christmas time, or in the Christmas shopping rush. Let's say on Cyber Monday. You know, that could be devastating. That could put a small business out of business, because we're so quick to go to a different vendor that if one vendor was down, we'd go somewhere else. So these will not slide over. For some reason, Flash has started being flaky on my machine. But you can see here, manages all the resources of the SOC, serves as a point of contact for the larger organization. That would be the SOC manager. Monitors incoming alerts and forwards tickets to the Tier 2 if necessary. That would be your Tier 1, okay, which would be your incident responder, or alert analyst, excuse me. Responsible for deep investigation of incidents would be your the incident responder. Expert level knowledge is subject matter expert, classified as low, medium, or high would be the incidents. Multiple technologies is your security monitoring, and then also the deeply potential threats is the SME. So, and again, I don't know why it's not working on mine. Now, here's the neat thing about this class. This one class prepares you for the CCNA Cyber Ops. This is a 2-test, okay, 210, 250, and 210, 255. So there's 2 different tests. If you make a 75 or higher on the final for this class, you will actually in June get a voucher for 70% off both of these tests. So I'm going to leave this class open all the way through the end of May, even though it's going to be past our security, our actual competition, or actually into June past our competition. And when you finish this class and you do the final exam and you make higher than 75, which you can do, okay, on your first try, you will then get an actual set of vouchers that will be 70% off these 2 exams. This is a great a great certification to have. It is one of the hot new certifications that are coming out. It also helps with this cybersecurity analyst or CSA Plus CompTIA. So if you have a CompTIA, you may be able to get a discount voucher through your CompTIA Academy if you're part of that. And here are some other ones that are out there, such as ISC3, ISC2, GIAC, and there are some others such as CISSP, which is kind of a higher level certification. But this course maps to this. Now I want to show you something. One of the things they just, this self-paced e-learning, they just wanted me to sign up for and wanted me to pay. Take a look at what it costs here. Let's see. I'm going to add it to my cart just to show you it's already there. See this course, just 1/2 of the training is $1,500. The course I'm giving you for free is both of those sets of training in one course. So this class is worth $3,000 for you if you were to go take it through Cisco Learning. So I'm just making you aware of what you've got in terms of inside the Cisco Academy, the material that is here. Now, other things you can do, right there in your backyard, there are multiple schools starting to offer cybersecurity degrees. Old Dominion has got one, Regent has one, there are other schools there. Liberty University is going to offer one, is offering one. So there are a huge number of places for you to go if you decide that out of high school, I want to then go on and pursue a degree. You could also go right there locally to the community college at Tidewater and do networking with security. So if you don't want a 4-year degree, you can do a 2-year degree and do security and go get a great job. So in your backyard, there are opportunities for you to continue past just this information in this course and just this information in our contest. Now, Indeed.com, this is where I went and looked for jobs. You saw that. Career Builder is another one. I obviously do suggest that all of you create a LinkedIn account and put information there. Be aware LinkedIn, when people look at it, they're looking for your professional information. Also be aware too, and I know your teachers have told you this, but everything you put on Facebook becomes part of the record. And many of these security jobs require that you have security clearance, and they will go check your social media. They will check your Twitter accounts. They will check your Facebook accounts. They will check everything about you when they go to do a security background check on you. In fact, I have been part of several background checks, and they ask every question you can imagine when the FBI comes to do a background check on someone to give them top secret clearance. Internships, there's cybersecurity scholarship, which you don't have to worry about because I put you into this class for free instead of doing that. And then first jobs and internships, obviously right there in your area. I have next week? Yes, next week I actually go to Richmond, Virginia for the Virginia Governor's Cybersecurity Advisory Panel meeting, and we'll be discussing CCNA Cyber Ops with them and discussing internships and things in the state of Virginia. So, as we look around here and you look at the different items, this is a good summary here on the chapter. What I want you to do is today, as you're in class, go ahead and read the rest of this chapter. Read this chapter. Get ready for me to send out the lab that will show you how to download and install the very first lab, which is the one that lets you download VirtualBox. Okay, the actual installing the virtual Cyber Ops virtual machine. And if you want and you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and try to do this by yourself before I get the video out to you. But if not, then you can wait and I'll send the video out to you. And it's not hard to do at all. The neat thing again is if you have, you know, a machine with 2 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of disk space, you can actually put this on a laptop and carry it around with you and have it so you can do your labs while you're moving around. Okay, I want to stop here and just ask you if you have any questions at all about this Cyber Ops course. I do want to do also a quick thing here and show you. I want to show you this. Kind of give you an idea of what the course includes. This was the intro. Then it goes into the Windows operating system, which is very important for our contest because you're going to need to be able to look at processes. You're going to need to understand what's going on in a Windows system. We're then going to look at the Linux operating system, which should be much easier for you now that you've done the Red Hat labs. Network protocols and services and network infrastructure. These two cover items that are in the Networking Essentials course I put you in. Then we go down into network infrastructure, principles of network security, and attacks. So these all get into, principles of network security and attacks. Look at different models of security control, different models of incident response. We even get into, as we go down, looking at an attack and how an attack works. We look at cryptography and what it means, what cryptography is. Then we get into items such as endpoint security analysis, IPS, which is intrusion prevention and intrusion detection. And then we get into security monitoring, so some of the free SIM systems out there, and then all the way down to actually doing an incident response. Your hands-on final for this class is actually going through and loading an example of an attack and then telling me what happened in that attack, which is a great thing to prepare you for the contest in June. All right, are there any questions? Brad, Sarah? Okay. Do not forget, folks, you still have access to becompetitions.stanley.edu. You have access to all of the ethical hacking labs. You have access to the Security Plus labs, and you have access to all the Red Hat labs. So be aware that all of these are available to you. They're still there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can schedule them. You know, you can go in and schedule a lab anytime you need to. And you can see the wide breadth of labs that are available. Here's all the different ones again under the ethical hacking. Security Plus. Here's log analysis. You can see that's part of what we're doing in Cyber Ops. Mitigating attacks and techniques all the way down to general cryptography concepts, which are part of Cyber Ops. And then under Red Hat, obviously we've got all different types of things dealing with Red Hat. Do you have any questions for me? I would like for you in the next week to read Chapter 1 and do the Chapter 1 exam, okay? So read Chapter 1 and do the Chapter 1 exam. It's not long. If you go, by the way, again, on our classes under modules, you can see all the different labs that are available, okay? And then at the bottom, when you go to do the Chapter 1 exam, you just click here, and then you can take the exam, okay? So under those modules, again, go through and do that Chapter 1 exam. I'd also do the quiz because it's just a good way to prepare you for that. And then we'll talk more about some of these different activities here, these labs that you can do. So Misha, Brenda, or Sarah, any questions before I let you go and let them actually read a little bit? or work on some of the VE labs if they want to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I am going to turn off the recorder.